please?
Yeah.
7-3 today, constructing parallel and perpendicular lines. Please note on the packet I gave you, there's really not a place for you to necessarily list your learning goals. If you'd like to, you could list them here. But you may want to put these page numbers down and then understand that on page 377 of your textbook through page 379, you could actually find these constructions that we're going to do today. So if you get home and you want to watch the video, you can, but if you want some just kind of laid out step-by-step instructions as well, you can look on those page numbers, so that will help you out. All right? Any questions there? Woo-hoo. Dude, constructions are fun stuff, man. There we go. Construct a line parallel to a given line and through a given point is our first objective here. All right. So, everyone has their compass. You have your little playing card there, which will hopefully help you out. You should have a folder that you put underneath it so that the card or the compass will stick in through there. Who needs it? You guys do. You guys need something? Okay. Right. Okay. Oh, here we go. I need your attention back up here. I want to be able to go through this at a fairly decent pace so that we can get through a good chunk of it and then give you time to work on the other ones. All right. So number one, a line parallel to the given line and through the given point. So the first thing you need to do, if you're given a point and a line and you want to construct a line parallel to it, you need to take that point, whatever the point is. Okay, in this chapter they're going to give you a point, but if you didn't have one, you could just put a point anywhere out there. And you need to draw a line through that point and through that line. Now, it really doesn't matter what angle your line goes at. You can draw that line, you could draw that line, you could draw that line, as long as it goes through the point and through the line. So there's mine. Okay? Once again, these steps are kind of laid out for you in your book if you'd like. Okay, step 2. Next step, you're going to identify this point right here where the two lines intersect. And you need to take your compass and open it up so that you're able to draw an arc. If you were to set the compass on that point, draw an arc. It does not have to hit that other point, so I'm going to make it so it doesn't. Draw an arc like that. Okay, that just intersects both lines. I'm going to need to use a different compass here, so I'm going to switch out. So it's not
You don't put these points.
All right. So, next piece. Once you have that arc, you are going to measure, or excuse me, you're not going to change the width of your compass yet like I just did. Okay. So make sure you have your compass set right there. Okay. You're going to move your point up to point N, and you're going to make that same arc up there. You know, obviously we can't intersect two lines because we don't have two lines yet. My compass is sliding all over. I need to change my lead level there. Okay? So go ahead and make that same arc. Uh-oh, having compass problems.
It's just really dull.
Yeah, you might, yeah. Okay, next piece. You're going to measure the width of that line. So you take your compass, set one point on one where it intersects one of the lines, and then open it up so that the other point will intersect the other line. Okay, and then measure that width. So you're just measuring that width. Everyone with me? You're going to do the same thing up here. You're going to put that point where it hits one of the lines, and then you're going to mark off that length or that width on the arc that you made earlier. Now this is really bad looking because my compass slid, so that piece down there shouldn't be there. There we go. All right, you now have 2 points. 2 points make a line, so going through point N and then this point, you're going to draw your other line. Parallel, it should be parallel, or pretty close to parallel. Okay. So there's our new line. Now, the more you work on it, the more you practice it, the better you're going to get at it. All right, so what I want you to do right now is I want you to try that same construction on number 2. Give it a shot. Next piece. So if you did not finish number 2 yet and you're still working on it, pause. We'll come back to it. Number 3, use the segments to construct a trapezoid. Okay, now a trapezoid, what's unique about a trapezoid? Yep. Good. One set of parallel lines. So for those of you who have forgotten, you may draw yourself a quick picture up here. This is a trapezoid. Okay. Has one set of parallel lines. So in other words, in order to construct a trapezoid, you have to construct parallel lines. Okay? So in order to construct parallel lines and using these as our bases, we have to actually reconstruct one of those or both of those lines. So the first thing that we're going to do is, or at least I'm going to do, is I'm going to take my card and I'm just going to draw a line down here. Like that. That line, I am going to reconstruct segment B on. Okay, so if I have a point here on B and a point here on B, just remember to reconstruct a segment. You're just measuring that segment length out with your compass. All right, so we're here at that point, opening it up to the very end there, the other point, arc it off. Okay, make an end point here, and I've got that same length. I'm going to arc it off there. Okay, and that is now from point to where that arc is length B. I've now reconstructed B. That be B. All right? And so now, if you need to construct a line parallel to it, and remember, like I said up above, they gave us a point. But if they don't give you a point, you just pick a point. Doesn't matter where it is, so I'm going to pick one maybe a little farther away so I don't have to try to squeeze in the work, but I'm going to put a point right there. Okay? And that point right now is going to be where that's going to be the beginning of my other line. All right? So tell your neighbor, what do you do once you have the point? What's the first thing? Good. Very good. So hopefully you said you draw a line. Now my line's going to go like this time, just because I want it to. And if I have extra lines on there, if my card slides like that, I'm going to erase and redraw. So make sure I get it correct this time.
Cards are bad.
All right. So there's my line. Tell your neighbor the next step.
Make an angle from right here to somewhere up there.
Do what?
That one's
Okay, so I've heard you got to draw an arc. I've heard the arc thingy. Okay, you've got to make an angle. Okay, we're making an arc from, if I called this point like point X, just so I have something to reference, and this point Y. Okay, I would put my compass on point X, and I would take a random length and arc it off there. Oops, don't let your compass move like mine just did. My compass is having problems here, but I don't have another one ready.
Why don't you just use one from that little thing?
There we go. I'm saving those for you guys.
Yeah, use the thing.
All right. So I am going to label some points to kind of help out here. I'm going to call that point where it hits up here, I'm going to call that point R. And I'm going to call this point where it hits right there, point S. Okay? Using R and S, tell your neighbor how you're going to, or excuse me, using the points on here, not R and S, what is the next step?
You use that thing, and then you do the other thing, and then you...
Okay, I put my compass point where?
at Y.
At Y. Okay, and what am I making?
Another
Another arc. Okay, so there's my other arc.
Good job.
All right, and I've got to make sure I extend that arc so I can.
Wow, that one is terrible. You definitely should be.
Okay. All right, where do I put my compass now?
that's S, right?
On what point?
On S or
On S or R. Okay. So I'm going to put it on R, and I am going to measure the length from R to S, arcing it off there. So put that arc there so that you make sure that you have the correct length. That's a construction mark. Okay. And now, if this is R, this really appears like R prime. And if I want to find S prime, I need to put my compass on R prime and mark it off. And that point right there will give me S prime. Okay, so once again, we put our point now there and mark it off. I can now draw a line through Y and S prime. Well, that's pretty close to parallel. How many of your lines are getting a little more parallel? A little better? Okay, have we satisfied what we're supposed to do? No, we need to now measure what? Yeah, we have to measure A now. So we've got our point. Let me set my compass on that point, open it up all the way to the other end point there, which I haven't put on there, so we'll put that. Okay, and arc it off. And that means anywhere, I'm going to use point Y, but if I arc it off there, that now is length A. Tell your neighbor how you're going to finish your trapezoid.
like on his Y with the dot. He started B with and then the
Okay, these 2 points right here, if we called it, say, like C and D, we would connect C to D. All right? And then you have your trapezoid. If I were to shade it in, there's my trapezoid.
Wait, so you don't have to connect the bottom of B, like the end, like the C, like...
You don't, huh?
How come your A is so much shorter? Did you start at Y?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah, I started at Y.
Okay, I started at the new point that you made between that.
Okay, go ahead and work on the next one. Looking at number 5, use the segments from A and B from problem 4 to construct a parallelogram. Now, first thing you have to do, what should we do first? Yeah.
Get A or B from 4.
Okay, get A or B from 4. So let's make a line. I'm going to use A. Okay? So let's reconstruct A. Kirchhoff style. If we could just stick with having to reconstruct lines, life would be a lot easier. But there's A. Okay. Any ideas next? Yes, Bethany.
Do B, and then find B, and then go on one point of A and make an arc.
Okay, so let's call this point X. And let's call this point Y, just because we're creative like that. Okay, and let's take and measure B like Bethany said there. All right, arc it just to make sure. There's B. And so Bethany, are you saying put my compass on like X? Bless you. And just make a big arc? Okay. So put my compass on X and make a big arc using that length. Now what? Cameron? Just anywhere on the arc? I could pick a point anywhere on that arc and start making a parallel line to it. There's another way to do it as well. And a little easier way where you don't actually have to construct the parallel lines. Let's go ahead and take our compass and also put it on Y and make that same arc. Yeah, it does. Looks like a tired person. Now I know if I use the side of my card here, this line right here that I'm moving about this point, and just kind of that any of those different options could be the length of B. Does everyone understand that? As long as it hits this arc. So if I want to say B goes from like here to there, just because I randomly chose that, it could be that. So now it's that. I have now said that this is, I have actually made this length right here, length B. Now, are we actually doing what it said? Use segments A and B? We used A and used B. What's this length going to be? It's going to be A, right? Opposite sides of parallelogram are congruent. So if that's the case, I could take and open my compass now to A. I have a point B. If I take and open my compass to A, a lot of moving the compass on this one. Sorry. Okay, keep opening my compass there all the way back up to A. Make sure. Okay. I would put my compass back on, let's call this point Z. I put my compass on point Z and measure that length until it hits my other arc. Where it hits my other arc is the fourth corner of my parallelogram. So if I go from Y to my new arc, or my new corner there, and then go from Z to my new corner, I now have length B. I have A. I know that that's parallel to that, and that's parallel to that because I have opposite sides congruent. And that's by definition is a parallelogram. Make sure you put the correct markings on it, though. Make sure you're putting your markings on all of these, your parallel markings. That's pretty cool, man.
It really, that one was.
Okay, questions on that one?
The lines just go together.
Next, moving on, next page.
Oh no.
Number 6. The next two constructions are pretty easy, I think. I actually just took apart mine there. But number 6, construct a line perpendicular to the given line at the given point. First step, take your compass and set it on point P and make an arc on both sides of the line, or both sides there. Same length away from P. Doesn't matter how far, just make sure it's the same on both sides. That is number 1. That has formed 2 new points. Let's call it point, what do we want to call this one? A, okay, and we'll call this one point Z. Okay, AZ. Okay, we now have A and Z. You now put your compass on point A, and I'm going to open it further than P. Just like that. Sorry, couldn't see that. Okay, and somewhere out in space here, I am just putting an arc. Just anywhere out in space, I'm putting that arc. And now I'm going to go to point Z and put my point, and somewhere out in space, I'm making an arc. And you'll notice those 2 arcs intersect. And where those 2 arcs intersect is your second point. If we draw a line through point P and that new point we just constructed, that line that you just drew or constructed is perpendicular. That'd be cool. Hi.
Amazing.
Thank you. Everyone try it on number 7. Okay, number 8. Construct a line perpendicular to a given line from a given point not on the line. So now rather than having the point on the line, the point all of a sudden is off the line. So if you think back to number 6, let's try to relate these so we get it. Notice on number 6 we have 1, 2, 3 points and a 4th. We have 2 points on either side of the middle and then this point off the line. Well, notice on this one we have 1. We need the 3 that are on the line. We have the 1 off the line. And now we need to find those 3. Okay? We kind of go backwards. Yeah, we're going to actually use the point we already have. I'm going to use this point out here. And in order to figure out my other 2 points, I'm going to find my 2 side points first. I'm going to make it so I can make an arc that will hit my line in 2 different spots. Now sometimes it means you have to extend your line. For instance, when I open my compass up, I made an arc that's going to hit my line in one spot, and it won't hit the line again unless I actually extend that line. And that's okay because lines go on forever. So there we go. I now have point A and Z. Kind of like we had earlier. Point A and Z. So if you're relating it to number 6, you have those 2 points now, and you have, like if we called this one R, we have our R. We need to now find point P. Well, the way we find point P, we actually find it off the line. So we take our compass again and put it on point Z. And somewhere out in space here, I make a big arc. So take Z, just any length, make that arc. You have to use that same length from point A and make the same arc. And that would be point P, except for it's really not on that line. However, you now have two points. And if you connect those 2 points, or go through those 2 points, my compass, or my being slit at the end, but that is perpendicular. All right, go ahead and try number 9. Hey, any last minute questions? Okay, assignment is 10 through 15 on a separate sheet of paper. If you'll need to check out a compass from me, we'll get that taken care of here in a minute, okay? I'll have you guys come up.